D'Souza, welcome to the station. And for those of you who haven't met me yet or who don't know me, I've been hosting Cafe Brazil for 25 years, and I just became general manager, I think, 2 weeks ago. so, so thank you. So thank you so much for coming out. And I've been having many conversations, of course, in recent weeks about this this change, this new challenge, and so forth. And as all of you who follow the news would agree, it's a very challenging time to be in public media. So it's quite an interesting challenge for me and all of us here at the station, and all of our colleagues around the state and around the country to go forward. And I know that with people like you, you're here because you love jazz, you love WDNA. So if all of us come together, if you talk to your friends, your colleagues, your family, all of people who love music, who love public media, we're going to get through this crisis, because it is a crisis. I'm not going to beat around the bush. This station is standing to lose between $400,000 to $500,000 within the next few months. It's funding that we always counted on every single year. And this year, it's not only the federal funds, of Corporation for Public Broadcasting, who is shutting down. September 30th, they're completely shutting down after, 60 years of operation. But it's a triple whammy, as they say. It's the federal funding we're losing, the Florida arts and culture funding. Unfortunately, the governor pulled those funds as well. And then now we're facing the Miami-Dade County budget situation, which is going to play out within the next few weeks. And they're already saying that it's going to be cut by 50% at least, so maybe more. So that's the situation. It's very transparent. It's very clear. We just had our first summer pledge drive a few weeks ago, the first in 45 years. We've always had a spring and a fall pledge drive, as you know. That we usually have. So for the first time, we had to do a summer pledge drive, which was fantastic. A lot of you came out and supported. We had great results. But it's something that it's already in the calendar for next year. It's the new reality. I don't want to be bleak in any way. The exact opposite, because again, like I mentioned, you love jazz. You're here because you have that passion for jazz. And I know that many people like you are out there here in Miami. We've gotten unsolicited donations. We've gotten anonymous checks. We've gotten online donations after the pledge drive finished, where people go to the donate button on our website. And we're already planning our fall pledge drive, Give Miami Days in November. So we're working hard and rolling up our sleeves to make sure that we fill up the gap, and that we're able to continue on into the future. So thank you for being here tonight. And speaking about passion for jazz, one of the most important people, one of the standout people of the jazz community in South Florida for decades, is one of our allies, is one of our family. And she started this whole Jazz Encounters idea in this program 15 years ago, and tonight we're celebrating 15 years of this wonderful series. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Nicole Yarling, everybody. Nicole, thank you so much for everything you do. Not only Jazz Encounters, but everything. I mean, you're such a phenomenal musician, educator. I could go on and on, but I'm not. I want to pass it on to you. Thank you, congratulations, and I'll let you take over the proceedings here tonight. Thank you.
Give it up. Gene is not only going to be a great station manager, he's also a wonderful human being. He's very, very knowledgeable about Brazilian music. And you book all kinds of stuff around town. And he actually had me do a lecture a long time ago down at Books and Books. We're friends, and I'm glad you're here. And I'm glad you guys are here tonight. You don't know what this means. It means so much, I bought you guys a cake. So 15 years ago, I did the very first jazz encounters here with my ex-husband, John, and Chuck Bergeron, and Dave Siegel, and Ira Sullivan came, and it was just a great evening of music. And it all started because she's not on the bass drum tonight, but because I came to Maggie with an idea. And Maggie said, okay, like that's Maggie, okay. And 15 years later, we're still doing this. It's really, it's you guys, it's you guys, it's your support, it's your love of this music that makes this possible. And the Outgrowth, the Jazz Education Community Coalition, all of that is possible because of you guys. And I can't begin to tell you how grateful I am to you all. It means the world to me. So I'm not going to go on much more because I know you're not here to hear me go on about this. You're here to hear music. And I just asked Zach how long he's been in town. He said 10 years. So he and who else has told me? Oh, Lucas. They can tell you about it when they come out. They came here August 10 years ago. Just a coincidence. You're in store for a great evening of music. Without further ado, guys, are you ready? The Zach Bartholomew Group. And I'll let him introduce the band. I know them all. You guys got it.
Thank you, thank you. How's everyone doing tonight? Good, good. Happy to be here. My name is Zach Bartholomew. And yeah, like Nicole said, I've been here 10 years, almost basically to the day, to the week. My buddy Lucas and I actually on drums, we moved here basically the same week 10 years ago into the same house. We were roommates when we first moved here to Miami. And I think one of the first kind of events I did was jazz encounters with a friend of mine, Waldron Dunkley. He had I think maybe one of the first few months he'd gotten a gig. He was the one person I knew that lived in Miami. So it's really great to be back here again and be a part of WDNA and Jazz Encounters. These amazing organizations here in Miami. They're really these cultural musical gems in the community. So I'm very, very happy to be here to present my music with an amazing band. If you are a jazz fan in Miami, these guys are probably no strangers. You probably know them. But in case you don't, this is David Fernandez on the saxophones and flute. Marty Quinn on the bass. And Lucas Apostolaris on the drums. These are some of my favorite people in Miami and favorite musicians anywhere. So I'm really, really pleased to get to make music with them, and I'm so happy you guys joined us here. We're going to be doing my original music, some from my album, and some new stuff that I haven't recorded yet. So that first tune was the title track from my album, Balancing Act. So the tune's called Balancing Act, and the album's called Balancing Act. You probably passed by it on the way here. I set up some vinyl. I've got some old school vinyl, LPs that are for sale afterwards that I will try to hawk onto you guys, and as well as some CDs and on digital as well. But actually, Marty and David are on the album, and my good friend Rodolfo Zuniga is on drums, who lives in LA now. So if you're a jazz fan in Miami, you probably have heard Rodolfo play somewhere. So that's the title track, Balancing Act, and it's sort of the theme for the whole album. Musically, the album is a kind of a combination of some older songs and some newer songs that I had written, and it's also was sort of what was going on, like kind of the theme behind generally my life at the time was just I had a lot of new things and a lot of things happening, a lot of good things. I started teaching full time at Florida Memorial University, actually with the first year with Nicole Yarling there, and I just got married recently, and then I'd also got a grant through the state of Florida to artist performance on tour grant, where I was traveling a lot, and so I was really kind of struggling to figure out what I was going to be doing with my time, and I had to kind of make some choices of what things I wanted to see grow and devote my time to, and kind of balance everything that was important to me: relationships, music, composing, teaching. So that's Balancing Act, and also the tune is a little bit of a balancing act. It's kind of got some tricky spots in it. So this next tune we're going to do, I wrote right after, actually, I recorded the album. So it's not on the album, but it's going to be on my next one. And it's a little bit of a bittersweet tune. I wrote it after my wife and I, we had 2 cats. And one was, her name was Beaver, actually. She was this big, fat, fluffy cat. And she had just passed away kind of suddenly right after the recording of the album. And so what I wanted to do is I wanted to write something something sweet and beautiful to try to remember her by. It seems kind of silly talking about a cat, but if you have a pet, or I haven't had a pet in a really long time, so I forgot really how much a big part of your life they can be, and it hit us pretty hard, and so I wanted to try to channel those emotions into something beautiful that I could play, and so this is sort of what came out of it. This is Beaver's song, and there's little pretty parts I wrote in there. We'd always say like, Beaver, Beaver. So there's like that little melody. And then you'll hear these we had tile floors, and so you'd hear her little claws kind of tiptoeing across the tile. So I sort of try to write some of that stuff in there as well. So this is Beaver's song, all the cat and pet lovers out there. I don't know where the sound guy is, but if you could take like all the drums out of this monitor, it's super, super hot. I don't know. All the bass out, yeah. I think things got totally changed after we sound checked because it doesn't sound the same. So yeah, all I want is a little bit of piano in this monitor, and I guess no bass. Okay. Thank you. Here's a Beaver song. Thank you, guys. That was a Beaver song. So this next one we're gonna do. This is a fairly recent one I wrote this summer. So it was 10 years ago. I moved here. Actually, both Lucas and I moved here, and I met this guy, and then I met both these gentlemen a little later. But it was about a year ago, actually, that my wife and I bought a house in Miami. So I kind of moved here. I came here and got my doctorate at Frost, and I thought I was just going to be here maybe a few years and then go somewhere else. And so 10 years later, here I am still, and I've really kind of made a lot of these connections with different people here and musicians and friends in different communities and in the Miami area and all over Florida. And so we bought a house actually a year ago out in Kendall, near kind of MDC Kendall, so kind of by the turnpike, a really beautiful little neighborhood. And so we've been there a year now, so kind of we're putting our roots down in Miami for a bit, I guess. And so when I was composing some music this summer, I was getting up with some friends, and we kind of workshopped some stuff, and I wanted to write some more kind of traditional, jazz, swing kind of stuff. And so I came up with this tune. This is entitled Kickin' It in Kendall. Hope you enjoy it. Kickin' It in Kendall. It's my life now. Thank you, guys. So kicking it in Kendall. So that's what we've been doing this summer before school starts in a few weeks. So I'm going to be kicking up in Miami Gardens soon at FMU. This next one we're going to do is, I wrote this a few years ago, but I kind of revisited it a few weeks ago to kind of revamp it so I could play it on the show. Because I'm going to be doing some concerts in September where I'm performing the music of one of my heroes, Chick Corea. And he's one of my all-time, I guess, icons, role models as far as just musically, piano playing, and just creatively, all the great things he's done, and I just really love his music. And so I've gotten to play his music quite a bit. Like I did a few tours years ago, and I'm going to be doing some shows across the state. And so what I like to do at different concerts, if I'm playing playing the music of somebody else, I still like to play some original music of mine for those concerts, just because I feel like that's in the spirit of like what kind of embodies a lot of these jazz musicians that I look up to a lot, where they're not only amazing performers and interpreters of other people's music, but they created their own music as well. And so I wrote this tune entitled Waltz for Chick that we're going to play for you guys today, and it's got a lot of these little Chick Corea isms that I've sort of taken and turned into my own thing. So this is Waltz for Chick. Thank you guys so much. That was a Waltz for Chick. We're going to do one that's going to feature our bassist a little bit on this next one. This is another one I did recently. I wrote for a concert. I did performing the music of another one of my heroes, Bill Evans. And, of course, in that famous trio, there's Scott LaFaro on bass and Paul Motion. They were grouped together for only like 3 years, I think. They recorded their music between basically 1959 and 1962. And there's only four albums. I think 2 were studio and 2 were live recordings. But they made a really, really big impact on the jazz world. And Bill Evans, of course, went on to record a lot more than that. But really, when I think of the Bill Evans trio, I think of that specific group in like the late 50s, early 60s, right as he was getting out of Miles Davis's group. So he had just recorded Kinda Blue, and then he formed his own trio with Scott LaFaro, this really young bass player, and Paul Motion. And Scott LaFaro, actually, he passed away in a car accident around 25, 26 years old, like right after they had recorded their last album together. That was live at the Village Vanguard, Sunday at the Village Vanguard, and they kind of made that into 2 albums, Waltz for Debbie and Sunday at the Village Vanguard, which are really, really beautiful recordings. And so I did a show performing his music, and I wrote a song kind of in the style of Bill Evans and sort of that trio, that kind of harmonic thing they would do together. This is called Song for Bill. So I've had the privilege of knowing these guys for a little bit of time here since I've been in Miami. And at my shows, I always like to, although if you guys are regulars here at the Jazz Gallery, or like I said, if you're a fan of jazz in Miami, you probably know who they are. But in case you don't, I always like to properly introduce the rest of the band, because it's really one of my favorite things to do is to get to play with my friends and some of the best musicians that I know that really really inspire me on a musical, creative level, and it's just such a pleasure to be on the bandstand with these guys. So I'm going to start with the gentleman on the bass. He is a professor at the University of Miami Frost School of Music in the contemporary program. He's your third year. Wow, man, time goes by fast. This is he's coming up on his third year there. We've been playing together for quite some time. Marty's on the album. He's an amazing bassist, and he's incredibly versatile too. So if you've seen him here, you've probably seen him with a bunch of different projects, either playing upright, playing electric, playing swing, playing avant-garde stuff, playing like fusion. Kind of can do it all. And he's a great bandmate, a great musician, collaborator who elevates everybody else in the bandstand, makes everybody sound good. And he's like that in his, a lot of times our personalities come through too. So he's also very giving, a very kind person. This is Mr. Marty Quinn on the bass. Yeah, Professor Quinn. Another professor on the drums, like this gentleman I met, one of the very first people I met in moving to Miami. We ended up being roommates and in the same musician house. We lived in for many years together, and he is just, when I think of someone who, maybe this isn't the case, maybe I'm getting the wrong perception, but it just seems like if like you met someone where music just like clicks with somebody, like they just get it. I always think of Lucas, because he just seems. He's such a musical person. Like everything just seems to come so easily for him, or at least it seems that way. Maybe not. But when I met him, it was, he's playing like classical guitar. He got his master's in like composing and arranging, and also like music production. And he's an amazing drummer. One of my favorite drummers that I've ever played with. And he's also a composer. He's released 3 albums under his own name. And actually, right before we played, they were playing one of his albums, on the station. So if you haven't checked out his music, check out Lucas Apostolaris. He's got three albums out there, and they play it at WDNA all the time. But he's also a professor at Frost. He's teaching jazz history, and we worked together at the community arts program, teaching lessons together, and we've done all kinds of gigs all over the state together. But just a wonderful music collaborator, and just anything you throw at him, he just nails and makes everything sound great. This is Lucas Apostolaris on the drums. And last but not least, Mr. David Fernandez. We call him the Jazz Factor. If you need jazz, you just call this guy. He's maybe, anytime I can hire a horn player, he's the first person I always call, and I always hope he can do it, because he's he'll call me, I'll give him all this music to learn. He'll even call me ahead of time before I've sent out the music. He's like, "Hey man, are we gonna play this tune? Are we playing this? Like, I want to start checking out the music." But he's so just always about the music. Always really puts the music first, and also a very giving person. A great mentor to students. He works with students all over the state, and was at FIU many years mentoring and recruiting and teaching lessons. Plays all these different instruments. I made him play 3 different instruments for this one gig, so I kind of feel bad about that. But he's such a pleasure to work with, and an incredibly creative person as well. He's done, I think, like 12.5 projects on his own that he's recorded. He's got like 4 in the works right now. I'm supposed to record piano on one. I'm behind on, so I'm sorry about that. But he's got. I told him I'd get it to him at the end of a month. But just always doing creative things, like no matter what, which is super inspiring. I'm always inspired by this guy, because he's one of the best musicians I've ever met. But he just always wants to play music, and he's always down to play music, either his own projects or my stuff. So it's always a pleasure to have this guy on the bandstand, Mr. David Fernandez. So we're gonna Nicole, do we have time for one more or 2 more? 2 more. Okay, we got started like 25 minutes late, so I don't know. I don't want to keep you guys here. All right. Well, we're gonna play. So, okay. So we got two more songs. Okay, we got two more songs. So two more songs. So this one we're gonna do is another one I wrote this summer. It's not a super creative title. It's called "Swingin' into Summer." So again, Lucas Apostolaris on the drums. Dave Fernandez, the Jazz Factor on the saxophone. Marty Quinn on the bass. So we're going to do one more tune for you guys this evening. Before we do, I just want to say all my thank yous. I'd like to start with this amazing band. Just like I said, can't say enough that it's such a pleasure and it's so much fun to get to just make music with these guys and to play. One of my favorite things to do is to play music, and another favorite things is to play, original music, and then also to play with my friends. And so I get to do all three tonight. So thank you guys. Let's give it up for this amazing band. And then I'd like to give a very, very special thanks to Nicole Yarling. Yes, thank you, Nicole. I'm sure, and again, if you're a jazz fan in Miami, you know who Nicole Yarling is, and that she was one of the first people I heard about from many, many other, so many good things before I met her, and it's such a pleasure to get to. Any times our paths cross, it's really an honor. When I think of the word mentor, Nicole is the first person I think of. She's such a wonderful, wonderful person. She just does I don't know how you do it. She does so many things, guys, for students and all over Miami-Dade, Broward. I mean, she's running like all these different jam sessions, all these different community programs. She's teaching full time. It's really, really amazing, inspiring, and there's a lot of crazy things in the world, but really when there's people like Nicole, I'm not just saying this because you hired us for tonight, but when there's people, there's people out there like Nicole doing all the things she does, it's really, really, really inspiring. So thank you, Nicole, and all the things you do, really. And lastly, I'd like to thank WDNA and all of you guys for spending your Friday evening with us. There's a lot of stuff you could be doing in Miami. There's it's a big city. There's a lot of great shows on Netflix and Amazon Prime, all that stuff. So I really thank you guys for taking a chance and giving us your evening for this music tonight. Thank you guys so much. I really, really appreciate you coming out. So I'll give one little shameless plug about myself and my music before we play this last song. So this last song we're going to do is on my album, Balancing Act, and it is for sale. So after we play, I'm going to go hanging out at the merch table there. But if you collect vinyl, if you collect CDs, if you just want to download, or if you want a little memento, you want like something to throw a frisbee or a coaster for your beer or whatever, you can use it as well. But the music, I'm really, really proud of this album. The music I've been working on for a really long time. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I've got some of my favorite musicians on it. So I hope you'll check it out. And also if you enjoy music and jazz in Miami, one thing you can do for free is it's easy. You could just sign up for my email list. There's a little QR code right on the merch table by the CDs. You can do that, or I can give you a business card or whatever. But sign up for my email list, and I send out like a monthly newsletter and just say where I'm playing. I do a lot of things all over the state, so I play in Miami, but I also travel all around. I do a lot of stuff on the west coast of Florida. So I'm a resident artist at a performing arts center in Bonita Springs. I do a monthly concert series there, and that gets me doing all these shows like I was mentioning before. But I also travel all around the state, Tampa, Orlando, St. Pete, Fort Myers. I've got a lot of shows out of town in September. And also play in Miami as much as I can as well. So I'd love to see you at some other things and keep in touch that way. That's a really easy way to stay in touch. It's free. Just you get one email a month from me. Maybe two if you're in, if I'm playing in your town, I'll send a separate email saying, hey, I'm playing at WDNA tonight. But yeah, that's it. So thank you guys so much. We're gonna conclude with a tune of mine entitled "Sunny Days Driven By," and I wrote this shortly after getting the grant I mentioned before, the artist performance on tour grant. And I would, like I mentioned, I travel all around the state, and really it's because of that grant that no longer is getting funded, but it started for the year it was. It really made a big difference in my life because it allowed me to make connections with all these communities all over the state, and specifically in Florida, to go and perform and work with students and do workshops and clinics and that kind of thing. And so I spent a lot of time in my car and a lot of time driving across Alligator Alley on 75. If you made that drive over to Naples or west coast of Florida, you know what I'm talking about. But I 3, 4, 5, 6 times a month sometimes. I'm driving there, I'm driving back, and so I spent a lot of time in the car, and I just wrote this song as kind of an imaginary soundtrack, just driving with the alligators and Everglades on my left and right, and the sun coming up and sun coming down, depending on which way I was going. So this is Sunny Days Driven By. Marty Quinn on the bass. The Jazz Factor, David Fernandez on the saxophone. My name's Zach Bartholomew. Thank you guys so much. Buy some vinyl, buy some CDs. Thank you, Nicole Yarling.